So today we're going to see if I've wasted my money. A few weeks ago I went onto the LTT store and came across their cable management stuff. This box has arrived. I spent a whopping $209, which converts to about £160 on this box. I have to admit, this is quite underwhelming. I thought there'd be a whole load more stuff than this, but apparently I've heard it's all really well made. So seeing as this is the whole room kit, I'm hoping that we should be able to cable manage at least 2 desks with this and have all the cables completely hidden. Let's get a desk out. Now, a lot of this cable management stuff, in fact, all of it is really for the cable management on the underside of the desk. So it's important that we've got the top of the desk sorted out to start with. In this case, we've got our speakers on some riser stands and we've got our monitor on an arm with an LED strip on the back of the monitor. So when sorting out cable management, the first thing I would do is find the power supply and the perfect place to mount it so we can run all the power cables from our peripherals to this to make sure everything's powered. And for that, apparently we can use these little things here, which are the magnetic holders for screw sockets like these. Now the problem I'm finding with these is the camber on the top just isn't wide enough to actually grip our tear holes on the back of our power supply. And in fact, because these are made out of metal, if you tighten them too tight, they're going to start to chew away the top of the power supply. Seems okay. So now our cheap power supply has some magnets on the back. Does it attach to the vernal desk? That felt solid. Is this really a Linus Tech Tips L? I ain't going any tighter. I mean, it seems solid. Yeah, that's a bit better. So I'm actually going to mount the power supply inside of this cable management tray that came with the desk. And because it's metal, there we go, we are straight on. That looks sick. So these are the arches, and you get a bunch of different sizes. I think these ones are the smallest ones, and they are quite small. I can barely get my pinky finger in there. They do make different sizes, and it seems to me like the bigger ones are a hell of a lot stronger than the smaller ones, which they are. And that is quite strong, that would hold a fair amount of cables, and so would the smaller one, to be fair. So let's get our one cable, which is going to be leaving the desk, our power supply, routed first. So we'll use some of the smaller ones on there like that, and that does hold this thick cable fairly well. That is not going to move. So we'll stick a few more on here, and one thing I've just realized, because this is a standing desk, meaning that these legs can move depending on the height of the desk, these are actually really good, because if this cable does for whatever reason get snagged, all that's going to happen is this is just going to pop off. Whereas if these were cable tied, you're going to be in for a bad ride. So we've used 4 of these to get our power strip mounted. And here's the power cable. Hopefully from the front you can't see that at all. And the good thing about it is, if I wanted to remove this, it really is that easy. I was skeptical at the start, but Linus, you might be onto something here. In the whole room pack that we got, you get 4, 8, 12 cable ties. 4 of them are extra large and 8 of them are normal sized. They look like this with the LTT branding on. Now, one thing I'm thinking is a lot of this can be done a hell of a lot cheaper, because these cable ties can be bought for next to nothing, for like a pack of 100. The problem with these is once you've done that to them, you have to take a pair of snips if you ever want to undo your wires. Whereas with these, because they're Velcro, you can basically reuse them if you ever wanted to take cables off your desk. And I think that's the whole ethos with this LTT cable management kit. Again, with the magnets, if you ever want to take anything off or change anything around, which, let's be honest, often happens when you upgrade things, it's super easy. So before we get onto the cable ties, I'm going to get the rest of our plugs all wired with these mini cable arches. So we've got our 2 speakers plugged into power. This is the power brick for the monitor. Introduce this little thing, the power brick holder, again with magnets on it. What we're actually going to use though is one of these magnetic plates this time, because this thing is quite thick. Let me show you how it works. So these bits are meant to click into here like so. So that has now used up 2 of our included tie wraps. And then these basically wrap round the power brick that you're trying to mount, like so. And now we have a power brick which apparently can be attached anywhere with magnets. The problem with this is it adds a slight bit of depth to said power brick, which is already thick as is. So if I was to mount this to the bottom of this vernal desk, from the front, you can see here that it actually sticks down quite a bit. So we're not going to do that. We're going to use one of the included mounts to get this hidden at the top of the desk. So I've put this up here. It does have sticky on it. However, there is 2 holes so you can further attach it with screws, which I think you're actually meant to do. But for now, that is solid. So again, more magnets here. You basically thread your cable tie through here, and then you can coil up a bunch of cable like this, just around your hand. So I've placed one of the metal pads here, and then this bunch of cable straight on there like that. And again, that is fairly strong, considering we've got some 240 volt cable and a hell of a lot of it being held up. That ain't coming off easily. Look at that old school cable tie getting in the way. Has to be snipped with manual intervention. So one thing that is important when you're managing your cables is not to run data cables with power cables. This is extremely important for speakers because you can generate hiss in your speakers if the cables are run next to high voltage power cables. So I've done some separate runs here for the speaker wires. Linus, the man himself, recommends if you are doing cable runs along your desk, it's a good rule of thumb to have about a foot between each of the magnetic mounts to make sure that you don't get any cable sag. So far, this is all we've used, and we have all of this stuff left over. So it goes without saying, you don't need to buy the whole room kit if you're just cable managing one desk. Obviously, you can just pick and choose the bits that you need on the LTT store. Now, it is refreshing to see a YouTuber, LTT, go at something like this and give users a product that genuinely works. A lot of the stuff that you can buy out there on Amazon, albeit for less than half the price of this, will do the job, but it's just a little bit more finicky. This, with its magnetic nature, can almost be really good, but if you don't have a magnetic desk, it can be really bad. Now, as we've discussed, a lot of what is included in the LTT cable management kit is just the magnetic plates to attach the bases to the desk itself. And if you don't want to go drilling holes into your desk, then you have to get the sticky pads, which are annoyingly sold separately. BTOD did a brilliant video on this where he actually recommended fitting the underside of your desk with a magnetic sheet, which can be cheaper, almost quite a bit cheaper than actually buying the sticky pads available on LTT's website. And then you've got free reign to put your cables wherever you want them. I think the main takeaway that I'm getting from this LTT kit, factoring in that high price tag, is the fact that this is reusable. So say in a year's time, which is quite often the case, you want to upgrade something, because it's all magnetic, it's really easy to swap out and change things underneath the desk. Yes, this can be done a hell of a lot cheaper. We've actually done DIY cable management guides. There's one in the card now and in the description. But if you have a metal desk and have the money to pay for it, this kit can be really cool. I think the guys at LTT have done a brilliant job with the R&D, and the actual product feels really nice. It's just, how often do you really get to see it on the underside of your desk? That's going to warrant whether it's worth the money for you, but it is good stuff. Anyway guys, that's been it. We need to thank today's video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one place to go if you want to make a website for the internet. Whether you're a novice or an expert designer, you can choose from one of the thousands of readily available templates, or you can do things like code injection, which is more for advanced users. You can even check things like your SEO, which is important to see how your website's going to appear on a search engine like Google. So if you would like to save yourself 10% on your first Squarespace purchase or domain, remember the code TechFlow, or go to squarespace.com/TechFlow. And thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Anyway guys, this desk looks sweet. This has been the LTT cable management kit. My name's been Alex, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.